This is Sarah Heredia, and you are listening to the Freely You podcast. Our time together is meant to inspire you to think bigger and empower you to live your life in a way that makes you proud to be you. I believe that the only box you should fit in is the one that you build for yourself, and I'm here to help you lay the foundation. My journey has taught me that we all deserve to create our own definition of success while meeting ourselves with love and a playful curiosity. My goal is to provide practical tools and fresh perspectives so you can rewrite your story, start living your life on purpose, and ultimately become more freely you.
Well, hello and welcome. It is just you and I today, and honestly, I'm kind of excited. I haven't done a solo episode and it feels like a minute, so I'm excited to connect with you today. And I have a conversation that's near and dear to my heart, you guys, okay? So today we are talking about being seen, and this is actually one of my goals for 2024 is to be seen more. And I was sharing this goal with a friend of mine, and she was like, yeah, I don't really get it. Like, I feel, and I was saying, I just want to be able to be like seen for who I am, like online, and no matter what platform I am on, I just want to be me, like even more authentically. And she's like, I think you're you. Like, I hear you, I see you, and you come across as a Sarah that like I know and love. And I hear that because I am all about authenticity. I'm not like bullshitting you, like this isn't a facade. Like this is very much who I am, especially on this podcast. I feel like I'm very honest and open with you and vulnerable often. But it's more in the online space where this goal is coming into play for me, because it's like I'm not showing up unless I'm feeling good. Like I'm not showing up unless I'm, feeling like I can be well spoken and I can articulate my emotions, and I'm not really showing up in my mess that is, starting a business and being a mom and juggling all the things, because it gets messy sometimes. Like it just does. And there's a piece of me, and like I've started sharing a little bit more because 2024 goals, I've started sharing a little bit more like about motherhood. And honestly, like sometimes it feels uncomfortable for me because I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want anybody to take what I'm saying in the wrong way and think that I don't like dearly love my children because I'm a mom and I have feelings and I have emotions, and like sometimes that comes up in my motherhood, and like motherhood can be messy. And so that's what I'm really talking about, is like just being a little less filtered, specifically on social media. So that's my goal. But that's not the full conversation that we're having today, because I see this a lot. I don't think I'm alone here. I actually know that I'm not. It is really hard for us to be seen in our shit, in our messiness, in our vulnerability. And, I see this with my kids. Like I see them trying to please people, agreeing with people when maybe they don't necessarily actually agree with them, not wanting to stand out from their friends, like needing the Stanley because all their friends have the Stanley, and needing a Lululemon bag to take to lunch because all their friends have Lululemon bags. And it's like this need to fit in, and therefore not be seen for who we actually are. Even like guests on my podcast, grown adults, and trust me, this is no judgment, because your girl like cringes every time she listens to herself. But like I'll have a guest on my podcast and they'll be like, well, that was great, and I'm not going to listen to that. Like, I can't, it's too much. Like, it's hard to be ourselves. It's hard to be like witnessed by other people, to, possibly be judged by other people. That's challenging. And like, for me in the beginning of my business, like going on social media, like you guys, a story where I would go face to face and like talk to you or do a live, it would literally be like the most painful 2 minutes of my life. Like it was horrible for a very long time. So the point is that it's normal, and it starts when we're really young, that we're always trying to fit in, and we're always trying to just like be happy, and like be our best to everybody all the time. And that's not reality. We're humans and we have ups and downs, and that's how it goes. And this really came to light for me back in 2023, so long ago. Before I had made my resolutions, though, I had two people very close together that are near and dear to me tell me the exact same thing. And the thing that they shared with me was like, I didn't actually think that I don't think I knew you before your podcast. Like, I'm seeing this other side of you that I didn't even know exists. And one of those people was my mother-in-law, who I've known for 15 years. Another one was my friend Jarrett, who I've known, who was on the podcast, and he actually shared this on the show. I've known him for 22 years. And he's like, I just didn't know you were this deep. I didn't know like how these things in your life impacted you. Like, I didn't know any of this about you. And while they were saying it in a loving way, and like it was being brought to me in a positive light of like, this is cool, I'm getting to know you on a deeper level, I couldn't help but have a part of me that was like, dang, that's sad. Like, that's kind of sad that these people that I love so dearly, I didn't show parts and pieces of myself. And when I really dug deep into that, as I do, I came to the conclusion that it's because there's pieces of me, there's parts of my story that don't feel good enough, that didn't feel good enough. I mean, now I'm just like airing out my laundry every day, but dirty laundry, right? That's the saying. Anyway, there were parts of me that didn't feel good enough. And so I hid those parts. And that's with people that I know and love. So imagine what I was doing in the rest of my life. Like in my career, you guys, I was like constantly trying to fly under the radar. Like, don't look over here. And even when I would be like celebrated, like, like I would reach a goal or win an award or, be recognized for my accomplishments. And I hated that. I felt so uncomfortable in those moments because I didn't want to be seen, whether it was good or bad. I just didn't want to stand out. I just wanted to fit in. And when I think about, some of the things that I've endured through my life, it's like, it's not that I was not willing to share those things that were hard for me, like sharing my childhood or sharing that my sister passed away. Like, it wasn't hard for me to share those things, but what I refused to share is how that actually impacted me, how it's impacting me as an adult now, like how bad that hurt, that I am a human being with a gigantic heart, and I had a lot of emotions about a lot of things that I went through in my life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when I would tell people about me and my story and who I am, it was like I was talking about somebody else, like so disconnected, like just kind of stating the facts, like telling the story, but not really getting into the fine details. Because God forbid I have emotions. God forbid I'm sad. God forbid, that I'm angry about parts of my life. Like, God forbid that I have those normal human emotions. And so I would just stuff those things down. And now I'm the complete opposite of all that, as I think I actually hate small talk. I avoid situations where it's going to be some like surface level conversations and like act like we care, but we don't. I am not there for that. Like, I am here for the real, raw, honest conversations. And what I'm noticing now in my personal life and my professional life, I suppose, is that I am like the most connected to people that are honest the moment that I meet them, to people that I can just talk to, that people that I just like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I love that she shared that the very first time I met her. I love that they were open about that. I love that they let me see them on that level right away. I love that. Like, it makes me feel connected to people. And that's the thing. It is our superpower to be seen, to just be who we are, to let who we are right now in this moment be good enough, that is the thing that is going to bring you reward after reward after reward. And I'm witnessing that in my life right now. It's like, what was I doing all these years? Like, why was I just not okay? Like, just being myself. And now I'm seeing, like, since starting this business, like in this podcast, like my relationships have gotten deeper, even with my parents. Hi, Mom, I know you're listening. But even with my parents, like I was so concerned for so long about how, my words could hurt somebody else or how it was going to be perceived and what other people would think. And at the end of the day, like, it's my story. These are my emotions. I'm the narrator here, and being okay with that has strengthened so many relationships in my life. In my friendships, I have recently had some of the most groundbreaking conversations in my friendships that honestly should have been had years ago. But I was too scared to have those conversations. I was too scared to stand up for how I was feeling and what I thought about situations or how they were responding or how they were treating me. And that left me feeling resentment and not comfortable and not being fulfilled in my friendships. And I've shifted that. So if you're not allowing yourself to be seen in all these areas of your life, I am a firm believer that you're missing out. You're missing out on the rewards that are waiting for you. You're missing out on the full potential that you have. And so this is a question for you, like, where are the areas of your life that you're just not really that willing to be seen? Maybe you're not completely hiding, but maybe you're not like fully disclosing the truth. Because when we're doing that, it's not that only that we're doing everyone around us a disservice. We're also doing ourselves a disservice because we're not being honest with ourselves in the moment. So one thing that I shared in my women's group that I think is relevant here is when I was in a career that I stayed in for a very long time that was not fulfilling to me, I would sit in these classes. They would bring somebody in to talk about essentially personal development, about, work-life balance, about, job performance, things like that. And I would sit in these classes and I would think to myself, what an awesome job. Like that is like a dream job right there. And then I would quickly bring myself back to reality and the lovely little uniform I was wearing. I'd be like, oh, well, I'm not qualified for that. Well, you don't have any experience. Like, why would you even think that you could do that? Like, no, you just go, like, put your head down, go back to your desk, maybe cry this afternoon about how much you hate your job and move on with your life. And like so many little things like that I was like denying myself of my truth, of being seen for what I actually wanted. I remember when podcasts first came out, I was like, oh my God, I could totally do that. I actually did think I could do a podcast, but I was like, well, that would be too hard. Like, I wouldn't even know where to start. Like, how could I ever order a microphone? But these are the things that we tell ourselves. And so what if I would have shared those things with somebody in those moments? What if I would have told my coworker or my husband or a friend, like, I would love to do that someday. Like, what opportunities could have been brought to me faster? How much faster could I have gotten here? Having a podcast with you, being a coach, like, how much faster could I have gotten here if I just let myself and others see me for who I want, my dreams, my hopes, my desires, my emotions, my feelings, like all of it. And unfortunately, I'll never know that answer. And you won't either until you try to put yourself out there, until you try to be seen. It's so liberating to speak what's on your mind and to show up as you are and to own who you are, the good, the bad, the ugly. Like, that's the other thing. How often are you not being seen in your strengths? Like, How often would your friends describe you as like this opinionated, like well-spoken person, and then you get to work and you sit in a meeting and you never say a word? Like, how often are you burying your strengths because you don't feel comfortable being seen in that way? Being vulnerable is a beautiful thing. Showing weaknesses actually gives you strength. People perceive you as having strength when you are able to communicate your weaknesses, when you are able to share things that are challenging for you. It makes people feel connected to you because, spoiler alert, they're not perfect either. Nobody's perfect. So what are we actually scared of? What are we hiding from everybody? That we're all the same, that we all have our shit? You are good enough just as you are right now. And another place that I see this coming into play is asking for help, that vulnerability. And I've been putting this one to the test lately, let me tell you, and it has been incredibly uncomfortable. But this is 2024, Sarah, and we're doing the hard things, so we're doing it. I'm asking for help, you guys. This is one of the most difficult things for me to do because we have to admit, I don't have it figured out. I'm struggling right now. This is hard. I don't know the answer, and I actually can't do this on my own. That takes some balls to say that, honestly. And it's so freeing when we do. And you know what happens when we do? People want to help. It's so weird. People want to support us. People want to cheer us on. People want to give us ideas. People want to introduce us to somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that's actually going to help you get to the place that you're going faster. But we're too scared to raise our hand and say, it's me. I'm in my shit right now and I need some help. When we're talking about our dreams, a lot of us don't even let ourselves dream because we're scared to be seen in that. We're scared to be seen in what we want versus what is our reality. And that's why we end up staying in things that don't fulfill us. You know, it's like the career thing. It's like, well, you're going to stay in this career because God forbid you admit that you want more, or that you're not happy, or that you have the confidence to apply for something that maybe on paper you're not qualified for, but you believe in that your heart that you're capable of. But that you don't want to be seen for that. That would be unheard of. Unheard of. So I just see us doing this in so many places in our lives. And who are we actually hiding from? A lot of times it's ourselves. A lot of times we're disconnected from ourselves in these moments because we're not allowing ourselves to dream. We're not allowing ourselves to try new things or to put ourselves out there to take a risk. The people or the things in your life that aren't going to, quote unquote, like you, accept you as you are in its entirety, it's either not the right situation or it's not the right person. And neither one deserves you. You get to be and own exactly who you are right now. That is more than enough. And when you can do that confidently, things are going to start shifting for you. I promise you that. This is a conversation I have with my clients all the time. It's like that. It's like, I'll feel better when. I'll do it when. No, when is now. We do the things now. We feel the way we want to now. We own our truth now, not when we have it all figured out, because that now never comes. And the difference between you and the person that you look up to is that that person has been willing to try and to fail and to be seen in their messiness. Like, seriously, think about that. Most of the people that we look up to, it's because they're sharing their story with us. They came from a similar place that we did. We feel connected to them. People feel connected to the things that we feel insecure about. And as humans, that is like our most basic need is connection. It's every single one of us wants it. And guess what? We all have fears. We all have issues. We all have our things. Like, what are we actually hiding? That we're not perfect, that we're human, that we have emotions, that we have mental health issues, that we have financial struggles. Like, guess what? Like, welcome to the party. Like, that is who we are. That is what we do. That is life. That's just how it goes. So when we are hiding these parts of ourselves, we're not allowing ourselves to find creative solutions or connections or answers that we've been looking for, because we're shoving down what we actually want and who we actually are. And I was having a conversation with a friend, and she had actually taken a master class, and they proposed this question. What if everything that you ever wanted, everything you ever dreamed of, everything that you ever hoped for, everything that you are currently working your ass off for, is on the other side of you being seen, just as you are right now? Not when you're more qualified, not when you lose 10 pounds, not when you find the man of your dreams, right now. What if everything that you wanted came down to your ability to be seen in your relationships, in your career, in your finances, in your health, in your everything? To just be seen. It's so simple, and it's so foreign to us. I went to a full moon ceremony recently, and the girl that hosts a full moon ceremony, she does retreats. I had my retreat flyer in my wallet, and I was like, this would actually be a really good place to put up this flyer, because it's like-minded people. And I know that, yeah, she has a great community. And as I was sitting there like contemplating this, I was like, oh, but it's probably a conflict of interest because she does retreats too. And I bet she doesn't want me to put this up here. And I should just go. And so as I'm sliding the flyer into my wallet to slouch out the door, I'm like, no, Sarah, this is 2024 stuff. And we're going to go have this conversation. What's the worst that can happen? She can say, nah, that's not going to work for me. It's a conflict of interest. Guess what? She was totally on board with it. Oh my gosh, I'd love to support you. Absolutely. It's not over the same dates as mine. We're all good. Crisis freaking averted. Do you know how much I thought about that conversation on my drive there, during the session, when I was debating walking out the door? All because I'm too scared to be seen in what I'm doing, owning what I'm doing, and asking for help, asking for support, asking for that aspect of community. So much is on the other side of us just asking for help, of us just admitting that we don't have it figured out, of us admitting that we're kind of a mess right now. So here is what I have found to be really helpful, because as I mentioned, I am on this journey. I've been on this journey. Showing up online has been a trip to say the least. And I've had to navigate a lot of this, but I also know that I'm only scratching the surface. I know that there's still a lot of work to be done on my end. So this is like a conversation that's TBD, but things that I've done that have helped me along the way is, number one, put myself in communities of like-minded individuals, of places that I can just go and be seen in my mess, in not good enough, in all the things, and being a beginner. There is nothing that feels better and boosts your confidence, honestly. And that's kind of the beauty of finding people that you don't know as well and putting yourself out there, is that they don't have preconceived notions of you, and they're not judging you. They're just accepting you as who you are, and you get to show up exactly as you are. So that has been incredibly healing for me, is to put myself in communities, to connect with other women that are doing similar things as me, hanging around people that I can be myself around. If it's a small talk situation, I'm not here for it. I am here to be me. I am here to have deep conversations. And that's okay if not everybody's there for that. That's not my person right now. That's not who I'm going to spend my time with right now. And then recognizing, like, when is it that I don't want to be seen? And, for me, and getting curious about that, because for me, it was like, well, I don't want to be seen online because I don't even know who all these people are. Like, they're just judging me. They're like, yeah, they don't know me and they're making assumptions about me. And it's like, no, Sarah, you're not feeling confident enough in who you are. You're not feeling confident enough to be vulnerable right now. Like, there were things underneath the surface that were there for me to look at. And I was just trying to turn a blind eye and say, like, well, it makes me feel uncomfortable because I don't know who's watching and what they're thinking. Like, who cares? Who cares? Like, if you can be good with yourself, that's what really matters. And that's the thing. It is about you. If you are hiding in your career, in your relationships, in your finances, in your health, like if there are pieces of you that you are hiding, there's something there for you. What is it? Is it that you're not fulfilled in your career? Is it that you're not actually good or educated about your finances? Is it that some of these relationships has fizzled out, or it's actually not the right person for you? Like, what is underneath the surface? But you have to be willing to see that. So it is about other people seeing you. It's also about you being able to see yourself and get curious about what is there for you. When we decide that what we have to offer is enough, everything changes for us. Everything changes for us. So when we get honest with ourselves and then we let that honesty pour out of us, that's when we start seeing the rewards come into our lives. And that, like, I've gotten like a taste of this, you guys. Like, I am getting the rewards and I want more of those rewards. I want deeper connections. I want more meaningful relationships in my life and in my business. Like, that's what I'm here for. And is it always comfortable? Oh, hell no. It is not always comfortable. It can be incredibly uncomfortable. And it's part of it. When we can just be us, that's when we start magnetizing the things we want. When we can actually say what we want. When we can feel what we want and how we want. When we can express how somebody else makes us feel, when we can express when we're just not feeling at our best, this is where the magic happens. You are enough, just as you are. And I need you to know that. And I need you to be willing to be seen. You and me, baby, 2024, we're getting out there and we're doing the hard things. We're getting uncomfortable. Like, honestly, what's the worst that can happen? If you lose someone or something, they weren't meant for you. And I can guarantee you're going to gain so much more by just accepting everything as it is and owning it. I love you. I see you. And I want to see more of you in your entirety. And I want to show more of me in my entirety. So buckle up, baby.
You guys, thank you so much for being here today. You actually have no idea just how much it means to me. If you enjoyed this episode or believe in my mission, can you do me a solid and leave me a review, follow, or share this podcast? It would be so greatly appreciated. Also, if you don't already, you can follow me on Instagram at freelysarahheredia. Sending you so much love, and I'll be talking to you soon.